right, Shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor that's due to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rahakadosh. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect. Shalom Barakathum. This is going to be a super quick lesson. I'm in transit here. And I just wanted to title this, man, Stay in the House of Mourning, okay, and not in the House of Feasting. And this is centered around the holiday, the so-called High Holy Day of Juneteenth, okay, and just a reminder to brothers to stay locked in and don't get distracted, because I have a strong feeling that that's exactly what a lot of these things we're seeing in the news that are going on. They time things to keep the population in control. Remember, when you watch the news, you're not getting information from the news. What you're getting from the news are narratives, okay? And these narratives are essentially enchantments on the left-hand side, and this is how he controls the population, okay? This is why in the next coming weeks and months, you're gonna hear about how bad and how existential the crisis is of somebody about to get nukes, where we're gonna die. We heard this game again in 2001, 2002, okay? And holidays like this, Juneteenth, 4th of July, these things, they time things around these events because they know people got plans. They know people are going on vacation. They know niggas are going to be out this weekend doing a cookout like today. A lot of people are off today, and it's a nice day. It's almost like Esau cleared the weather up just to make sure you get your ass out there. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if something crazy happened, overseas that these small hats are doing and getting into, because that's their MO, man. But like the scriptures say in Thessalonians 5, ye brethren are not in darkness, okay? You walk in the light, okay? Roughly paraphrasing, all right? And that analogy goes along with what fellowship does light have with darkness, man? So watch where you're going around. You get an invite to go to a cookout. Hey, scope it out, man. Don't just, like I always say, don't be just giving your energy and your spirit around people. That your aura, your presence, that is valuable, man. Okay? When you read Isaiah 13, go to verse 1, verse 2, you're going to see just the presence of a man. Just being around a real man is going to be a precious commodity, okay? Especially men in the Lord, okay? And people can feel that now because they're in dire straits, okay? They need Juneteenth. They need mirth, okay? They need to drink. They need to smoke, all right? They need to have barbecue all the goddamn time. They need vacations, okay? They need football games. They need their team to win in the finals, all right? All of these different things are to distract Americans from the fact that they're livestock and they're being spoiled, okay? And that their powers, their leadership are demonic psychopaths, okay? That will destroy the world if the Lord doesn't come back, which we know that he will, okay? Because this thing is about prophecy, all right? So don't get distracted. Like I said, I'll make it super quick. Don't get distracted, man. Stay locked in. Stay locked in on this thing. Keep hastening, keep praying, keep putting up curses, all right? Because the things that these people enjoy, it really should vex us, because we're the inverse of this world. That's why we're the light, they're the darkness, okay? They're the yin to our yang, if you want to call it, look at it that way. How do you want to say it, okay? But when the scriptures say, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her plagues, it's talking about spiritually. Now, that doesn't mean you're wicked if you go to a hangout or a cookout with a family member. No. But what spirit are you in, okay? You're a man in the Lord. You're a soldier, man, okay? You can't be walking around, just aloof, I use that word a lot, just lollygagging around, you getting drunk and not in the spirit of a watchman. Like I said, ain't nothing wrong with going out and having fun, but you got to maintain the fact that you're in the right spirit, man. Jake start getting a little saucy. Next thing you know, you're doing the Cupid shuffle at the cookout, and then damn, you ain't do a lesson today, You gotta remember your first love, all right? And because Esau's gonna do everything he can to distract you while he does all of his wickedness, and he's also looking to set up things to ensnare the men of the Lord. Okay, he wants us to get caught up in some folly. Okay, so he has a reason to accuse us because that's coming. Okay, that is definitely coming. They're getting ready to make a great accusation against the men of the Lord. So, you know, don't get distracted. To hell with this Juneteenth nonsense and all the niggas that celebrate it, man. You know, because a lot of them gonna go to the spirit world for no other reason than it's hot as hell out here today. You know, and that's good because the Lord doesn't want everybody. All right, and you have to pray that the Lord wants you. So with that, Lord willing, this is edifying. Call hello Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakhakudah Shalom. On to the next.